in a vast cattle ranch in the interior of Snow Hollow at the end of the 19th century. Lived Lucas Almeida, 24 years old, the only heir to the powerful Boa Esperanza ranch. Tall, with a firm posture, dark hair and hands calloused by daily work. Lucas was not like the other heirs. While many spent the day giving orders, he woke up early, mounted his horse, and worked side by side with the cowboys, branding cattle, repairing fences, and taking care of the animals' health. His heart was fair and sensitive, different from his father. Colonel Ramiro Almeida, his father, was a man with a severe look and a voice of command. Widowed for many years, he had built an empire with rigid discipline and tough negotiations. For him, the future of the son was already traced. An advantageous marriage that would unite the cattle lands with the rich coffee plantations. Among the slaves of the big house was Isabel, 22 years old, brown skin, large and deep eyes that carried a silent sadness, hair tied in a long braid, and voice soft as the morning breeze. Orphan of a mother taken by fever and of a father dead from excessive fatigue, Isabel had grown up serving in the kitchen, taking care of the family's clothes and helping in the household tasks. Despite everything she had already suffered, she had a kind heart. She always saved a piece of bread for the youngest children and sang softly to calm the sick. One day, a violent storm fell upon the ranch. The wind howled and the thunders seemed to crack the sky. A cow of good lineage was giving birth with difficulty in the corral. Lucas, completely soaked, fought alone to save the calf. It was when Isabel, ignoring the fear of the lightning, ran out of the big house with clean cloths and a pot of hot water. "Senor Lucas, let me help. This mother is suffering a lot. The calf does not deserve to die like this." Together, wet from head to toe, they managed to save the calf. When the rain diminished a little, the two looked at each other for a time that seemed eternal. Lucas felt something new and strong in his chest, a mixture of peace and urgency that he had never felt. Isabel lowered her eyes quickly, her heart racing, knowing that that look could bring great suffering. From that day on, destiny began to intertwine their lives. Small gestures were born. Lucas left a book hidden behind the kitchen for her to read at night. Isabel saved a little milk sweet or ripe fruit for him after the heavy work. They talked hidden in the corral or near the dam about simple dreams. Lucas told that he wanted a fairer ranch, where people were treated with respect. Isabel, with shining eyes, said softly, "I only dream of being free one day, free to plant my flowers and not be afraid of tomorrow." These short moments were watering a pure love, made of respect, understanding, and looks full of meaning. Lucas saw in Isabel a strength and a dignity that no wealth in the world could buy. She, for the first time in her life, felt seen as a person, not as property. But the secret did not last long. Colonel Ramiro discovered the exchanged looks, and the fury came like lightning. A slave, my only son, heir to all this land, in love with a captive. This ends today. On the same day, Isabel was sent away to the heaviest works of the yard. Lucas felt the first deep pain in his chest when he saw her carrying huge buckets under the hot sun, her back bent by the weight. The following months turned into a true calvary for the two. Isabel was transferred to the hardest works of the yard. She woke up before the sun rose and only stopped when the moon was already high. She carried heavy buckets of water, washed clothes until her fingers bled, pounded corn, and cleaned the corral under the scorching sun. Her body hurt so much that at night she could barely lie down on the cold floor of the sink. The other slaves, with pity and fear, whispered, "Girl, forget this boy. A white man from a big family will never stay with us. You will end up sold far away and will still suffer more." Isabel, with her eyes swollen from crying so much in secret, replied softly, "I know it is difficult, but my heart has already chosen. Even if I spend the rest of my life suffering, I will not betray the feeling I feel for him." Lucas, inside the big house, was also wasting away. He lost his appetite, became thin, and spent the nights walking from one side to the other on the veranda. Colonel Ramiro pressured him every day. "You are my only son. Are you going to throw away everything I built because of a slave? The marriage with Clara Mendez is already arranged. It is business, Lucas. Coffee land with cattle land. One afternoon, Lucas confronted his father in the dining room with a choked voice, but firm. He declared, "Father, you taught me to be a man of honor. But what honor would I have if I married Clara, knowing that my heart belongs to another? It would be a lie to her, suffering for me, an injustice for Isabel. I do not accept this marriage." Mr. Benedito, Clara's father, became furious and threatened to break all commercial partnerships. Clara, upon knowing, cried a lot, but demonstrated greatness of character. "I do not want a husband who accepts me out of obligation. May God take care of your hearts." The pain of separation was constant. Lucas and Isabel barely saw each other. When they managed to exchange a look from afar, it was quick and full of anguish. One rainy, early morning, Lucas risked everything and went behind the barn. Isabel was there, thin, with deep dark circles, and the dress torn from the heavy work. Upon seeing him, she began to cry softly. "Senor Lucas, forget me, please. I am only a slave. Look what I am causing in your life. Your father is angry. The ranch may lose everything. I can no longer bear to see you suffering because of me." Lucas held her calloused and wounded hands with affection and desperation. "Do not speak like that, Isabel. You are not only anything, you are the woman who taught me what it is to love truly. Every day without you is like a knife in my chest. I am fighting for your manumission. I have already sold 2 horses and saved some money hidden. Hold firm, my love. I promise that I will take you out of this condition." Isabel shook her head, tears streaming. "And if you do not succeed, and if the Colonel sells me to another ranch, I prefer to die here than to live far from you. But I do not want to be the reason for your disgrace." "Then live for me," replied Lucas with a hoarse voice of emotion. "Be strong as you always were. Our fidelity will overcome this pain. I prefer to lose the entire inheritance than to lose you." The following weeks were even crueler. The Colonel ordered that Isabel be watched day and night. Lucas received visits from other ranchers who reprimanded him. He isolated himself, stopped smiling, and worked until exhaustion so as not to think. Isabel fell ill from sadness and weakness, even with fever. She continued working in silence, murmuring softly, "God, give me strength. I only want to see him happy." One afternoon, while carrying firewood, Isabel fainted from exhaustion. Lucas, who observed from afar, ran to help her, but the foreman prevented him. That night, alone in the room, Lucas cried like a child for the first time in years. The pain was so great that he almost gave up, but upon remembering Isabel's eyes, he found new courage. "I will not abandon you. We will overcome this together." The forced separation tested the love of the two to the limit. Suffering, tears, humiliations, and loneliness were constant, but the fidelity of both never wavered. Isabel never doubted Lucas's love, and Lucas never stopped fighting for her. The great drought severely punished the entire region. The pastures of Boa Esperanza Ranch turned yellow, and the river almost dried up. On Mr. Benedito's coffee ranch, the situation was even worse. Almost the entire harvest was lost. It was in this moment of difficulty that Lucas showed his true character. Even suffering with the distance from Isabel, he organized a caravan and sent cattle, corn, and water to help the neighbors. Clara, who had already married another rancher, visited the ranch and spoke privately with Colonel Ramiro. "Your son is a good man, Colonel. He helped my father without asking anything in return. Perhaps you should look with different eyes at what he feels." One cold night, after an exhausting day, the Colonel called Lucas to the veranda for the first time in almost 2 years. His voice did not come out hard. "I raised you to be strong, to continue my name in my land. But I see now that you have a strength that I never had. This girl, Isabel, she suffered in silence, worked without complaining, and never asked you for anything. If she is capable of making my son waste away from love and still keep her head held high, then I can no longer fight against it. Free her. And if after that you still want to be together, you have my blessing. The world will judge, but I will no longer prevent it. Lucas felt his legs weaken. With eyes full of tears, he knelt before his father. Thank you, Father. You are giving me the greatest inheritance I could receive. The chance to be happy with whom I love. The next day, at dusk, all the workers were called to the yard. Lucas, with a voice choked with emotion, read aloud the letter of manumission. Isabel, from today you no longer belong to anyone. You are free. Free to go away. Free to stay. Free to dream. Isabel, who could barely stand from so much emotion, fell to her knees crying loudly. Her body trembled. Lucas walked up to her, lifted her with affection, and spoke before everyone. You suffered horrors because of my love. You endured humiliation, pain, hunger, and exhaustion. Today, I ask you, accept to be my wife, not as a slave, but as the owner of my heart and my life. I love you, and I will spend the rest of my days making you happy. Isabel, with tears streaming down her face, replied with a weak voice, but full of love. Sin, Lucas, I suffered a lot, but every tear was worth it because it brought me here. I love you since the day of the storm. I accept to be your wife. I want nothing more than to be by your side. The entire ranch vibrated with applause and emotional crying. Colonel Ramiro watched this scene in silence, but with a glow of respect in his eyes. The wedding happened 2 weeks later, in a simple and beautiful ceremony under the mango trees of the ranch. There was no luxury, but there was true love. Isabel wore a simple white dress made by herself. Lucas could not stop smiling. In the following years, the couple faced the difficulties together. There were people who turned their backs, malicious comments and challenges, but the union and fidelity of them were stronger. Lucas transformed the ranch. He treated all the workers with respect and justice. Isabel, now free, took care of the house and the people with affection and wisdom. They had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl who inherited the eyes of the mother and the courage of the father. Many nights, sitting on the veranda, they remembered the past suffering. Lucas kissed Isabel's still-marked hands and said, "You are the greatest victory of my life," Isabel replied, smiling. "And you were my freedom, even before the letter." Their love proved that, when it is true, it overcomes rejection, pain, drought, prejudice, and time. True love demands courage to face rejection, pain, and separation. Lucas and Isabel show us that fidelity and union are worth more than wealth or status. The path is not always easy, but those who choose with the heart find a deep and lasting happiness. The greatest heir is not of lands, but of character and love. If this story moved you, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and leave your like. Share with those who need to hear a story of overcoming, love, and redemption. Which chapter moved you the most? Tell me in the comments.